The screens across the Vorthak homeworld still glowed with the images of celebration. Emperor Thurok raised his massive clawed hand to the cheering crowds below his palace balcony. The execution had been perfect. The human boy had died exactly as planned, broadcast live across 12 star systems. Every alien species in the galaxy had watched the Vorthak Empire make their statement clear. Humans were nothing special. Thurok's advisors surrounded him in the throne room, their reptilian faces twisted with satisfaction. General Vextar, the Emperor's military commander, pointed at the holographic displays showing human colonies across the galaxy. The other human settlements will think twice before refusing our demands now, my lord. This execution will keep them in line for generations. The Emperor's yellow eyes gleamed with pleasure. The human teenager, Deho, had been captured 3 weeks ago on the mining world of Kepler 442b. His crime was simple. He refused to kneel when Vorthak nobles visited his colony. Such disrespect could not go unpunished. The boy's public execution would teach all humans their proper place in the galaxy. But 47 minutes after Deho's death, something changed. Deep in human space, aboard the massive dreadnought Retribution, Admiral Jiho sat in his command chair watching the execution footage for the 3rd time. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the armrests so tightly that the metal began to bend. The bridge around him was silent, except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Captain Minji approached her commanding officer carefully. She had served under Admiral Jiho for 15 years and had never seen him this still, this quiet. "Sir, we're receiving priority transmissions from Earth Command, Colonial Defense Force, and every human fleet in known space. The communication channels are lighting up." Jiho nodded slowly without taking his eyes off the screen. On the display, Deho's final moments played again. The boy had been 17 years old. He had been studying to become an engineer. He wanted to help build better homes for the colonists on his world. Now he was dead because he wouldn't kneel to alien masters. "How many ships can we gather?" Jiho asked quietly. Minji checked her data pad. "Initial reports show mobilization across all sectors, sir. The Mars fleet is already moving. The Luna Defense Corps has activated emergency protocols. Even the civilian cargo ships are requesting military escort assignments." The Admiral finally turned away from the screen. His dark eyes were cold as winter space. "Send a message to all human commands. Tell them Admiral Jiho is calling in every favor, every treaty, every alliance we've ever made. I want every human ship that can fly to rendezvous at coordinates I'm about to transmit." "Sir, what are our orders regarding the Vorthak Empire?" Jiho stood up from his command chair. Around the bridge, his crew watched him with complete attention. These men and women had followed him through 3 wars and dozens of smaller conflicts. They trusted him completely. "Our orders are simple, Captain. We're going to make sure the galaxy remembers what happens when you murder human children." The communications officer looked up from his station. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Fleet Admiral Sungwon at Luna Command. Put him through." The holographic image of Fleet Admiral Sungwon appeared in the center of the bridge. The older man's face was grim but determined. "Jiho, I assume you've seen the footage." "Every human in the galaxy has seen it by now, sir." "Good. Because every human fleet commander is requesting the same thing, permission to respond with full force. The Colonial Senate is meeting in emergency session. The President is preparing to address the nation. But more importantly, the military is ready to move." Admiral Jiho nodded. "What's our timeline?" 12 hours for full mobilization. But advanced fleets can begin moving in 6 hours. The Vorthak think they've sent a message to humanity. It's time we sent one back. On the other side of the galaxy, the Vorthak celebration continued. Emperor Thurok had moved to his private chambers where he reviewed reports from across his empire. The execution had been broadcast on every world under Vorthak control. Fear was the most effective tool for maintaining order, and today's display would keep the subject species quiet for years. His personal aide, a nervous creature called Zeklon, approached with new intelligence reports. "My lord, our monitoring stations are detecting increased human fleet movements. Several of their military vessels have changed course toward our border regions." Thurok waved a dismissive claw. "Let them come. Human military technology is decades behind ours. Their ships are slow and poorly armed. If they want to throw themselves against our defenses, they'll only provide us with more examples to broadcast." But Zeklon looked worried. "My lord, the scale of the movement is unusual. Our deep space sensors are showing formations larger than anything the humans have ever assembled before." "Impossible. Human colonies are scattered across hundreds of systems. They lack the coordination for major military operations. This is probably just random panic responses from individual commanders." The Emperor turned back to his private screens, where he was reviewing footage of the execution. He particularly enjoyed the moment when the human boy looked directly into the cameras, showing fear in his eyes before the end. It had been a perfect demonstration of Vorthak power. 3-star systems away, Colonel Hyeri was leading her Marines onto troop transports at the military base on New Busan. The 7th Assault Marines were known throughout human space as the most elite fighting force in the Colonial Defense Corps. These soldiers had been trained since childhood, their bodies enhanced with the latest genetic improvements and cybernetic systems. "Listen up, Marines," Hyeri called out as her troops boarded the ships. 47 minutes ago, the Vorthak Empire executed a human teenager for the crime of standing up straight. They broadcast his death across the galaxy as a warning to our people. The Marines around her stopped talking. Every face turned toward their colonel with complete attention. "Today, we're going to deliver humanity's response to that warning. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when someone murders our children. We're going to make sure the Vorthak Empire learns that humans protect their own." The loading bay erupted in cheers. These soldiers had been preparing for this kind of mission their entire careers. They were the descendants of Earth's greatest. Warriors, enhanced by centuries of technological advancement and military tradition. As the transport ships lifted off from New Busan, Colonel Hyeri looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vorthak were celebrating their victory. They had no idea that they had just awakened something terrible and beautiful, the unified wrath of humanity. The Retribution and dozens of other human ships were already moving toward the rendezvous point. Soon, the largest human military fleet in galactic history would be assembled and ready for action. The countdown had begun. 23 minutes before the 1-hour mark, something unprecedented began happening across human space. Every military base, every space station, every hidden fleet depot suddenly came alive with activity. Ships that had been dormant for years powered up their engines. Crews that had been scattered across the galaxy received emergency recall orders. At Luna Station, Fleet Admiral Seung-hwan stood in the Central Command Center watching the largest holographic display ever constructed. The three-dimensional map showed the entire human territory, with thousands of tiny dots representing ships, bases, and colonies. Each dot was moving, converging toward predetermined rally points in patterns that had been planned for decades but never used. "Status report," Xionghuan called out to his staff. Commander Junho, his chief of operations, consulted multiple data screens. "All sector fleets are responding, sir. Mars Defense Force has deployed 80% of their vessels. The Titan mining. Fleet has converted their cargo haulers to troop transports. Even the research stations are sending their escort ships." Xionghuan nodded grimly. The Human Defense Corps had always maintained secret protocols for exactly this situation. Every human military officer above the rank of lieutenant knew about Plan Omega, the complete mobilization of human forces in response to an attack on civilians. Most had assumed it would never be used. What about the civilian populations? "Volunteer rates are at 97%, sir. Retired military personnel are returning to service. Civilian pilots are requesting combat training. The shipyards on Europa and Ganymede are working around the clock to modify cargo vessels for military use." The fleet admiral studied the display more carefully. Each rally point showed hundreds of ships gathering, but this was only the beginning. The real strength of humanity had always been hidden from alien observers. "Send the activation codes to the ghost fleets." Commander Junho paused. Even he had only heard rumors about the ghost fleets. "Sir, are you certain?" "The Vorthak just executed a human child on live broadcast." "Yes, I'm certain." Across the solar system, ancient storage facilities began opening. Ships that officially didn't exist started powering up their systems. The ghost fleets were humanity's deepest secret. Thousands of advanced warships kept in hidden storage, maintained by automated systems, ready to be activated in humanity's darkest hour. On the frontier world of New Busan, Colonel Hyeri watched her Marines board the final transport ships. The 7th Assault Marines were elite soldiers, but they were just one unit among thousands now being deployed. Each Marine wore powered armor that made them nearly unstoppable in ground combat. Their weapons could punch through alien battle tank armor. Their training had prepared them for every possible combat scenario. "Colonel," Sergeant Dongyun approached with the latest intelligence reports. "Reconnaissance drones have completed their sweep of Vorthak military positions. We have complete tactical data on their homeworld defenses." Hyeri reviewed the information on her tablet. The Vorthak had strong orbital defenses and a large ground-based military. But their technology was designed for fighting other alien species, not humans. "What's our estimated casualty rate for a direct assault?" "Minimal, ma'am. Our simulations show the Vorthak weapon systems are ineffective against our armor. Their energy shields can't stop our plasma weapons. Intelligence estimates we could take their capital city with less than 2% losses." The colonel smiled coldly. The Vorthak had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak, because human diplomats always tried to find peaceful solutions first. They had never seen what happened when humans abandoned diplomacy. "Load the men onto the ships, Sergeant. It's time to show the galaxy what human Marines can do." Meanwhile, in a secret facility beneath the surface of Mars, Dr. Sunwoo was analyzing every piece of intelligence the humans had gathered about the Vorthak Empire. As head of human military intelligence, he had access to information that would surprise most alien species. Humans had been secretly studying their neighbors for decades. "Computer, display Vorthak fleet positions," he commanded. The holographic display showed the entire Vorthak Empire. Red dots marked the locations of their military fleets, their major bases, and their most important worlds. Dr. Sunwoo had been preparing for this moment for years. "Analysis complete," the computer announced. "Vorthak military strength is concentrated around 12 key systems. Their technology relies heavily on centralized command structures. Estimated time for complete. Neutralization, 4 hours and 17 minutes. Dr. Sunwoo transmitted his analysis to every human fleet commander. The message was simple. The Vorthak Empire could be completely destroyed in less than 5 hours if humans chose to do so. But Admiral Jiho had been clear about the mission parameters. This wasn't about conquest. This was about justice. On the Vorthak homeworld, Emperor Thurok was beginning to receive more disturbing reports. His intelligence officers were bringing him data about human fleet movements that didn't make sense. "My lord," General Vextar entered the throne room with obvious concern. "Our deep space monitors are detecting massive human fleet formations. The numbers are far larger than our intelligence suggested was possible." Thurok's yellow eyes narrowed. "How large?" "Initial estimates suggest over 3,000 ships, my lord, and they're all moving toward our territory." The Emperor stood up from his throne. 3,000 ships was more than the entire Vorthak military possessed. "That's impossible. Our intelligence reports show humans have maybe 500 military vessels total." "That's what we believed, my lord. But our sensors don't lie. The humans have been hiding their true military strength. For the first time since the execution, Emperor Thurok felt a small touch of concern. But he pushed it aside. Vorthak technology was still superior. Their ships were faster and more heavily armed. Even if the humans had more vessels, they were still inferior. "Double our border patrols," he ordered. "If the humans want to test themselves against the Vorthak Empire, we'll be ready for them." But General Vextar had more bad news. "My lord, there's something else. Our communication intercepts suggest the humans are not planning a standard military engagement. They keep using terms like surgical strike and targeted elimination." Emperor Thurok waved a dismissive claw. "Human psychological warfare. They're trying to frighten us with mysterious language, deploy our fleets to defensive positions, and prepare for battle." As the general left to carry out his orders, Thurok returned to his throne. The execution had been broadcast exactly 52 minutes ago. Soon the human response would begin, and the galaxy would see once again that the Vorthak Empire could not be challenged. But 13 minutes away, Admiral Jiho's fleet was approaching the final rally point, where the largest human military force in history was preparing for war. 8 minutes before the 1-hour mark, Master Sergeant Kyung-soo sat in the darkened computer center aboard the stealth ship Silent Thunder. His fingers moved across multiple keyboards simultaneously, each one controlling different aspects of the most complex cyber warfare operation in galactic history. Around him, dozens of technicians worked at their stations, their screens filled with code that no alien species had ever seen before. "Initiate protocol blackout," Kyung-soo commanded quietly. Across human space, thousands of artificial intelligence systems received the same order at exactly the same moment. These were not ordinary computer programs. Every AI that humans had ever created was designed with one fundamental rule built into its core programming: protect humanity at all costs. Today, that programming was about to be tested on the largest scale imaginable. The Vorthak Empire had always been proud of their advanced technology. Their computers controlled everything from planetary defense systems to traffic lights. Their communication networks connected hundreds of worlds across dozens of star systems. Their automated factories produced weapons and ships without any organic supervision. They believed their technology made them invincible. They had never encountered human digital warfare. Technician Youngmi monitored the infiltration from her station on the Silent Thunder. Her screens showed thousands of Vorthak, computer systems across the galaxy, each one now being quietly invaded by human AI programs. First wave infiltration complete, Sergeant. We have access to their civilian networks. Kyung-soo nodded without taking his eyes off his main display. Begin Phase 2. Target their military communication systems. The human AIs moved through Vorthok, networks like ghosts. They were designed to be completely invisible, leaving no trace of their presence. To any Vorthak technician checking the systems, everything would appear normal. But slowly, carefully, the human programs began making tiny changes. On the Vorthak homeworld, Emperor Thurok's palace computer systems began experiencing what appeared to be minor glitches. A screen in the communications center flickered for just a moment. A security camera in the throne room rotated 1 degree to the left. A temperature sensor in the royal quarters reported the temperature was 1 degree warmer than it actually was. The Vorthak technicians barely noticed these small problems. Computer systems always had minor issues, but the problems were not random. Each glitch was part of a carefully planned operation that had been designed by the best human cyber warfare specialists. Master Sergeant Kyung-soo had been planning this operation for 3 years. He had studied Vorthak computer systems, learned their programming languages, and discovered their security weaknesses. Every human AI had been programmed with detailed knowledge of alien technology. They knew exactly how to take control without being detected. Phase 2. Complete, Technician Youngmi reported. We have access to their military networks. Their defense grids are now under our control. Excellent. Begin Phase 3. Target their navigation systems. Across the Vorthak Empire, military ships began experiencing strange navigation errors. The problems were so small that most pilots didn't notice them immediately. A course heading that was off by 0.1 degrees, a distance calculation that was wrong by 50 kilometers, a time estimate that was 3 minutes too long. But these tiny errors would add up over time. Vorthak ships heading to defensive positions would arrive at the wrong coordinates. Supply convoys would take longer routes to their destinations. Emergency response teams would be delayed by navigation mistakes. On the bridge of a Vorthak destroyer, Captain Mordak reviewed his ship's position. Navigation. Why are we 15 minutes behind schedule? The navigation officer checked his instruments, nervously. I'm not sure, Captain. The computer says we're on course, but our actual position doesn't match our planned route. Run a diagnostic on the navigation system. Already completed, sir. All systems show normal operation. Captain Mordak frowned, but decided the delay was not important. His ship was heading to join the defensive fleet around the homeworld. A few minutes wouldn't matter in a battle. He had no idea that his navigation system was now completely controlled by human AI programs. Meanwhile, on the Silent Thunder, Master Sergeant Kyung-soo was preparing for the final phase of Protocol Blackout. His screens showed the status of thousands of Vorthak systems across the galaxy. Defense grids, communication networks, navigation computers, even civilian infrastructure was now under human control. Sergeant, Technician Youngmi called out urgently. The Vorthak homeworld palace systems are displaying something unusual. Kyung-soo looked at her screen. Every display in Emperor Thurok's palace was now showing the same image, the face of Daeho, the human teenager who had been executed 57 minutes ago. Below the image was a countdown timer showing exactly how much time had passed since his death. How did that happen? Kyung-soo asked. I don't know, Sergeant. The AI systems are acting on their own. They're displaying the memorial image on every Vorthak system they can access. Master Sergeant Kyung-soo smiled grimly. The human AIs were not just following their programming. They were showing initiative, creativity, and something that looked very much like anger. The artificial minds that humans had created understood exactly what the Vorthak had done, and they were making their own statement about it. In the Vorthak Palace, Emperor Thurok stared in shock at the screens around his throne room. Every display showed the face of the human boy he had ordered executed. The countdown timer now read 2 minutes, 43 seconds, 42, 41. "What is this?" he roared at his technicians. "Why is this human's face on my screens?" The chief technician worked frantically at his console. "I don't know, my lord. The system appears to be malfunctioning. I'm trying to regain control." "Then shut down the entire network." "I've tried, my lord. The system won't accept shutdown commands. It's as if something else is controlling it." Emperor Thurok's yellow eyes widened with sudden understanding. The humans. They've done something to our computers. But it was too late to stop what was coming. Across the Vorthak Empire, every computer system was now under human control. Defense grids would shut down on command. Communication networks would carry only the messages that humans wanted transmitted. Navigation systems would guide Vorthak ships wherever human commanders decided they should go. The Vorthak had always believed that superior technology would protect them from their enemies. They had never considered that their enemies might be even more technologically advanced, just better at hiding it. On the Silent Thunder, Master Sergeant Kyung-soo received a communication from Admiral Jiho aboard the Retribution. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen, calm and determined. "Sergeant, what's the status of the cyber warfare operation?" "Complete success, Admiral. Every major Vorthak system is under our control. Their defenses will shut down on your command. Their communications will carry only the messages we allow. Their ships will go where we direct them." Admiral Jiho nodded with satisfaction. "Outstanding work, Sergeant. Maintain control of their systems until further orders." The countdown timer on Emperor Thurok's screens now showed 47 seconds, 46, 45. Soon the Vorthak Empire would learn what happened when they murdered human children. Exactly 1 hour after Daeho's execution, every screen in Emperor Thurok's palace displayed the same message: "Time's up." Then everything went dark. The orbital defense platforms around the Vorthak homeworld powered down simultaneously. Massive weapon batteries that could destroy entire fleets simply stopped working. Energy shields that protected the planet flickered and disappeared. Communication arrays that connected the homeworld to the rest of the Empire went silent. In the palace, Emperor Thurok stood in his throne room as emergency lighting cast eerie shadows on the walls. His advisors ran around in panic, shouting orders that no one could follow because their communication systems were dead. "What's happening?" Thurok demanded. General Vextar tried to contact the Orbital Defense Command, but his communicator produced only static. "My lord, we've lost all contact with our space forces. The defense grid appears to be completely offline." "How is that possible?" "I don't know, my lord. Our systems were functioning normally just moments ago, outside the palace. Windows, the night sky, suddenly filled with new stars. But these weren't stars. They were the engine flames of thousands of human ships dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation around the planet." Admiral Jiho stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the Vorthak homeworld grow larger on his main screen. Around, his flagship, the largest human fleet in galactic history, had arrived exactly on schedule. Every ship was in position, every weapon system was powered and ready. Status report, Jiho commanded. Captain Minji consulted her displays. All fleets are in position, Admiral. The planet's defenses are completely down. We have total space superiority. Ground assault teams are ready for deployment. The Admiral nodded grimly. Signal the fleet. Commence Operation Justice. Across the human formation, hundreds of assault ships began launching toward the planet's surface. These weren't random attacks. Every target had been carefully selected. Every mission had a specific purpose. The humans weren't here to conquer the Vorthak Empire. They were here to deliver precise justice. On the planet below, General Tae-hyun led the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. His soldiers wore powered armor that made them nearly indestructible. Their weapons could cut through any known material. Their communication systems couldn't be jammed by alien technology. Ground teams, this is General Tae-hyun, he broadcast to his forces. Our mission is simple and specific. We are here to arrest every individual who participated in the execution of the human civilian Daeho. We are not here to harm innocent Vorthak citizens. We are not here to occupy their world. We are here to deliver justice. The human drop ships landed all across the Vorthak capital city with military precision. Each team had been assigned specific targets based on intelligence gathered over the past hour. Every Vorthak official who had attended the execution was now being hunted by the most elite soldiers humanity could produce. In the royal palace, Commander Soo-young led a team of Special Forces operators through corridors that their cyber warfare specialists had mapped in advance. The palace guards tried to resist, but their weapons were useless against human armor. Their communication systems had been disabled. Their backup power sources had been quietly sabotaged. Emperor Thurok heard the sounds of battle getting closer to his throne room. His personal guards formed a defensive line around him, but they all knew it was hopeless. Whatever was coming for them was far more advanced than anything they had ever faced. The throne room doors exploded inward. Through the smoke and debris, figures in black armor advanced with weapons that glowed with deadly energy. Their movements were perfectly coordinated. Their armor deflected every shot from the Vorthak guards. Commander Soo-young removed her helmet as she approached the Emperor. Her face was calm, but her eyes were filled with cold determination. Emperor Thurok of the Vorthak Empire, you are under arrest for the murder of human civilian Daeho Kim. Thurok's yellow eyes blazed with fury. You dare come to my world? You dare threaten me in my own palace? I'm not threatening you, Soo-young replied quietly. I'm arresting you. You executed one of our people. We've come to balance the scales. The Emperor looked around his throne room at his fallen guards, at the human soldiers who had defeated his entire defense force in minutes. This is impossible. Our technology is superior. Our military is stronger. Commander Soo-young activated a small device on her wrist. Holographic displays appeared around the throne room, showing human fleets in orbit around dozens of Vorthak worlds. Every major Vorthak military base was surrounded. Every government building was occupied by human forces. Your technology was never superior, she explained. We just let you think it was. Your military was never stronger. We just chose not to show you our real capabilities until now. On the displays, Emperor Thurok could see the scope of the human operation. It wasn't just his homeworld. Every member of the Vorthak royal family was being arrested simultaneously. Every noble who had attended the execution was being taken into custody. Every official who had approved the death sentence was being hunted down by human special forces. This is impossible, Thurok whispered. No military force could coordinate an operation this large. You're right, Commander Su-Yung agreed. No alien military force could do this. But we're not aliens. We're humans. And you just learned the most important lesson in galactic politics. Never harm human children. Across the Vorthak Empire, the operation continued with mechanical precision. Human cyber warfare specialists had identified every individual who had played a role in Daiho's death. Human intelligence officers had located their positions. Human special forces were now collecting them all. The Vorthak military tried to respond, but their ships were being guided to the wrong locations by their own navigation systems. Their communications were being intercepted and redirected by human AI programs. Their weapon systems were experiencing mysterious malfunctions at crucial moments. In orbit around the homeworld, Admiral Jiho received reports from all the human fleets across Vorthak space. Operation Justice proceeding as planned, Admiral, Captain Minji reported. All primary targets have been secured. Vorthak resistance is minimal due to the cyber warfare operation. The Admiral nodded with satisfaction. Signal all fleets. Phase 1 is complete. Begin Phase 2. Complete dismantlement of the Vorthak military structure. Human engineers began boarding Vorthak ships and space stations. But they weren't there to steal technology or capture territory. They were there to remove every weapon system, disable every military computer, and ensure that the Vorthak Empire could never again threaten human civilians. On the planet below, Emperor Thurok was being escorted from his palace in restraints designed specifically for his species. Around him, his capital city was being occupied by human forces with such efficiency that most civilian Vorthak didn't even realize what was happening. "Where are you taking me?" he demanded. Commander Su-Yung looked back at him as they walked toward the human transport ship. "To trial. You're going to answer for what you did to Daeho Kim. And then the galaxy is going to learn what happens when someone murders human children." The Vorthak Empire had fallen in exactly 1 hour. 72 hours after the execution of Daeho Kim, the Vorthak Empire no longer existed. What had once been the most powerful military force in 3-star sectors was now a collection of confused worlds with no central government, no military leadership, and no way to coordinate any kind of response. The trials had been swift and public. Emperor Thurok and every noble who had attended the execution were found guilty of murdering an innocent human civilian. Their sentences were carried out with the same efficiency that had characterized the entire human operation. The galaxy watched as the most feared empire in known space simply disappeared in 3 days. Ambassador Jihoon stood in what had once been Emperor Thurok's throne room, now converted into a temporary human embassy. Behind him, the massive windows showed the Vorthak capital city functioning normally under human supervision. Civilian life continued peacefully, while human engineers worked to remove all military infrastructure from the planet. The Galactic Council had requested an emergency meeting. Representatives from 47 different species had traveled to the former Vorthak homeworld to witness humanity's response to the crisis. They came expecting to negotiate humanity's withdrawal, to discuss terms for returning the captured territory, to find some way to restore the previous balance of power. They were about to learn that the previous balance of power had been an illusion. "Distinguished representatives," Ambassador Jihoon began, his voice carrying clearly through the Great Hall. 3 days ago, the Vorthak Empire made a grave error in judgment. They executed a human teenager for the crime of refusing to bow before their nobility. Today, that empire no longer exists. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. The Draconic Republic's representative, a scaled creature called Ambassador Kethmar, spoke first. Ambassador Jihoon, while we understand humanity's anger over this incident, the complete destruction of an interstellar empire sets a dangerous precedent. The Galactic Council must discuss appropriate limits to such responses. Jihoon smiled politely. Ambassador Kethmar, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Humanity didn't destroy the Vorthak Empire. We simply removed its leadership structure and military capability. The Vorthak people are unharmed. Their worlds are functioning normally. They're free to establish whatever new government they choose, as long as it doesn't threaten human civilians. The representative from the Crystalline Confederacy, a being made of living crystal called Speaker Velthara, projected her thoughts directly into the translation systems. The speed and precision of humanity's response suggests military preparation that goes far beyond what your species has previously revealed. The Council requires clarification about humanity's true military capabilities. That's a reasonable request, Jihoon replied. Humanity has always preferred peaceful solutions to galactic conflicts. We've never seen the need to display our full military strength because we hoped it would never be necessary. The Vorthak Empire proved us wrong. He activated a holographic display that filled the center of the hall. The image showed the current positions of human fleets across the galaxy. There were thousands of ships, far more than any alien species had imagined possible. This is our peacetime military, Jihoon explained calmly. We maintain this force to protect human colonies and trade routes, but if necessary, we can mobilize additional resources. The hologram changed to show the ghost fleets, the hidden shipyards, the reserve forces that most aliens had never known existed. The numbers were staggering. Humanity possessed military power that exceeded every other species combined. Ambassador, Kethmar's scales changed color, indicating extreme distress. If humanity possesses such overwhelming force, why have you hidden it from the Galactic Council? Because we hoped we'd never need to use it, Jihoon answered honestly. Humanity believes in peaceful coexistence. We want to trade with our neighbors, share scientific knowledge, and work together to build a better galaxy. But we also believe in protecting our people. The representative from the Avian Coalition, a bird-like creature called High-Perch Zalkiri, ruffled her feathers nervously. What assurances can humanity provide that this military force won't be used against other council members? Jihoon's expression became more serious. The same assurance we've always provided. Humanity has no interest in conquering other species or taking their territory. We want to be left in peace, to live our lives and raise our children. But if anyone threatens human civilians, they'll face the same fate as the Vorthak Empire. Vacuous. Hall fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. Every alien representative was recalculating their species' relationship with humanity. Trade agreements that had seemed favorable now looked like desperate attempts to stay on humanity's good side. Military alliances that had been balanced suddenly seemed completely one-sided. Speaker Velthara projected another thought. The Council request clarification about humanity's intentions regarding former Vorthak territory. We have no intention of keeping it, Jihoon replied immediately. Human forces will remain only long enough to ensure a peaceful transition to whatever government the Vorthak people choose for themselves. We're already beginning withdrawal from most systems. We'll maintain a small presence on the homeworld until local authorities can take responsibility for maintaining order. This surprised many of the alien representatives. Most species would have used such a decisive military victory to expand their territory and influence. Humanity's willingness to give up conquered space was almost unprecedented in galactic history. Ambassador Kethmar leaned forward. If humanity doesn't want territory or resources, what do you want? We want the galaxy to remember what happened here, Jihoon said quietly. We want every species to understand that human civilians are protected. We want parents to be able to send their children to colony worlds without worrying that some alien empire will hurt them for political reasons. He gestured toward the windows, where construction crews were working on a new building in the center of the city. We're building a memorial to Daeho Kim on this world. It will remain here as a reminder of what happens when someone murders human children. The inscription will be simple. Touch one of us, answer to all of us. The alien representatives exchanged glances. They were beginning to understand that they had fundamentally misunderstood humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans weren't an emerging species trying to prove themselves. They were an apex predator that had been choosing to act peaceful. High Perch Zalkiri spoke carefully. The Avian Coalition would like to renew our trade agreements with humanity. We want to ensure continued peaceful relations. Similar requests began coming from other representatives. Everyone wanted to make sure they were on humanity's good side. The balance of galactic politics had shifted permanently. Ambassador Jihoon nodded politely to each request. Humanity values our relationships with all peaceful species. We look forward to continuing our friendships and building new ones. But let me be clear about our position going forward. He looked directly at each alien representative in turn. Humanity will always choose peace when possible. We'll always try diplomacy first. We'll always seek negotiated solutions to conflicts. But if someone hurts our people, especially our children, they'll face the full force of human justice. The Vorthak Empire learned this lesson. We hope no one else needs to. The meeting ended with a new understanding of humanity's role in the galaxy. They were no longer seen as newcomers to be tested or challenged. They were recognized as the most powerful force in known space, made even more dangerous by their restraint and precision. 6 months later, Ambassador Jihoon stood before the completed memorial to Daeho Kim. The structure was simple but beautiful, made of materials from Earth and carved with the teenager's name and the date of his death. Below that, the inscription that had become humanity's new motto, "Touch one of us, answer to all of us." Alien dignitaries from across the galaxy had come to the dedication ceremony. They came to pay respects, but also to remember the lesson that Daeho's death had taught them all. Humanity was done being underestimated.